Hey, what's going on, cats? It's Kevin the Grease here, you dig? So, I already did a part one to my record collection. If you didn't see that video, well, go check it out. I will probably try to link the video in the description box below. So go watch that one before you watch this one because that one's, the part one, the first part that, is going to be continuing this in this part, which is part two. So this is part two of my record collection. Um, for this collection, I'm going to showcase my heavy metal section for my record collection because I like a lot of different music genres. I'm into, the old school rock and roll, original rock and roll from the 50s, uh, punk rock, Ramones, Misfits, all that stuff. Metal, new metal, doo-wop is also, I would say, I like doo-wop, a little doo-wop too. Um, I like a lot of different music genres, okay? And one of the music genres I grew up loving, and I still love today. Obviously, they have a record collection video going on here about it. Is my heavy metal record collection. So for all the metal fans watching this video is for you. You dig? Okay. So I'm not gonna tell you what bands I'm gonna be showing you. I'm just gonna be showing you like I did in the same video as last time, just showcasing my metal records. And because I already did my 50s and older rock and roll, now I'm getting to my heavier stuff. You dig? Okay, let's get into it, shall we? All right, so the first record I'm going to be showcasing here is Metallica's first ever album, and it's a very, very heavy album. And if you haven't heard it, I recommend you go do. And that is Metallica's first album, Kill 'Em All. This is a fantastic Metallica album. Every song on here is good. It really kind of brings, an introduction to that heavy thrash sound that Metallica's known for. And even as their debut album, which is this one, brings that in, that heavy thrash sound. But very good album, though. And if you're a Metallica fan and you haven't heard this, I don't know how you haven't. Go check it out. You dig? Alright, we're going to go into all my Metallica albums first here. So, the next album that I have would be Ride the Lightning. Fun fact, this is actually my very first record I ever bought. When I bought this record, I wasn't into record collecting. I just wanted to get a record because, I kind of liked the way they looked. So, yeah, it's fun fact. This is my actual very first record I ever bought when I was buying a record. Um, but yeah, another fantastic Metallica album. This is probably one of my favorite Metallica albums out of all of them. I know a lot of people say, they like the Black Album, they like Injustice for All. This is probably my favorite one, or at least one of my favorite ones. A very good album, very classical thrash album. I forgot to show the Kill 'Em All, the back of Kill 'Em All. Whatever. You start doing that. Alright, on to Metallica's third album, Master of Puppets. My God, is this album... I don't even know how to explain it. Like, you would have to listen to it to understand what I'm trying to describe this album as. Very, very fast pace, I don't have any words to explain this album. It's, that heavy of an album. There's, like, no proper way to describe it, but it's very great, though. So, Master of Puppets, one of the most iconic album covers of all time in Metallica history. I mean, come on. It's Master of Puppets. Now on to Metallica's fourth album that they ever had and they put out. And possibly could be my favorite album as well. Like, for Metallica, I have a lot of favorite albums by them, so I can't really pick a favorite album I have because I have a ton of them. But this album's another one of my favorite albums by them that they released. Injustice for All. This is probably my favorite time of Metallica. I know a lot of people have different favorite times where Metallica was, coming into the thrash scene. This is probably my favorite era of Metallica was Injustice for All. But yeah, so there is the front of the record. And there is the back of the record. Neat, pretty nice stuff. Next we have the most iconic Metallica album of all time. Their fifth album. The Black Album. One of the most, if not the most, iconic record album cover of all time. Okay? Apart from, Abbey Road from the Beatles, but this has got to be up there as being one of the most iconic ones, okay? Black Album, again, a fantastic album. I don't think there's a bad song on here. In my opinion, I like every song on here, Even the slow ones. Unforgiven was good, The Struggle Within. The God That Failed was fantastic. Every song on here, to me, was fantastic. Even if it's not, heavy thrash, it's good to get something different. But I like every song on this album personally. That's just my opinion. You dig? Okay. Coming out with the next Metallica album. Actually, this is my last Metallica album I own. That's on vinyl. I need to go Metallica album shopping some more because I'm missing some of their albums that I wouldn't mind getting on vinyl as well. The last album of Metallica I have is their current album, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. I think it was a fairly good album. I wouldn't say, it's as good as Injustice for All, but it was a good album. I'm not hating on this album. I'm not saying it was a terrible album. I thought it was pretty good for what it was. So there is the front. The front of the album cover is a lot more different than the CD cover. If you have the CD and you look at the CD cover, you notice the cover of the CD is a lot more different than the vinyl cover of this vinyl record. And there is the back. Now, if you're probably wondering what the hell this is, well, it's the band's faces kind of like mixed together. So James, Robert, Lars, and Kirk Hammett, they're all in there. It's just their faces mixed together, and that's what it kind of formed. In case you were wondering what that was. Well, that's what it is. Alright, that's going to kind of cover it for my Metallica stuff. That's kind of all I got at the moment for that. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to some other stuff here that I have that's metal related. And the other biggest band that I have for biggest collection right now is my Judas Priest stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and go through that real quick and yeah. Alright, these are not going to be in order for the Judas Priest, but first off, we have Turbo Lover 30th Anniversary Edition. Rob Halford, I would have to say, is probably one of my favorite metal singers of all time. That dude's an absolute legend. As far as, I definitely would put Rob Halford in like the top 3. He's definitely up there. As far as metal singers go. I'm not going to name a whole list of, who I like the best, but, just a few names. Rob Halford, Phil H. Anselmo from Pantera, Those two guys alone are two very fantastic singers, in my opinion, But yeah, so there is Turbo Lover, fantastic album for what it was. So yeah, there's that. Go ahead and move on to the next Priest album I have. Again, these are not going to be in order, so if you're, wondering. But next up we have Sin After Sin. Yeah, there's the front, and there is the back of the album cover with the song track list right there. Pretty good album. I like this album a lot. Opens up with Sinner. Diamonds on the Rust was a really, really great song off this album. But yeah, pretty good album. I like this album a lot. So there is Sin After Sin. Moving on next, we have Point of Entry. Which, this album, most Judas Priest albums that I own in my record collection were good. I'm not saying I own a bad Priest album, but this album is really good too. I'd say my favorite song on here is either Heading Out to the Highway, Hot Rockin', or Desert Plains. Those are my top 3 favorite songs off of this album when it comes to Point of Entry. That's what I would say my top 3 favorite tracks are from this album. Locked In is probably my favorite song off of Turbo Lover. And Sin After Sin, I would have to say probably Diamonds in the Rust. I would have to say for Sin After Sin. Alright, moving on to the next Priest album that I own. British Steel. This is one of the most iconic Priest, you know, when you see people wearing Judas Priest shirts, this is going to be the one that you would see the most, is the British Steel one. So there's the front of the record with the front, and there's the back of the record. So yeah, pretty. I do like the album cover of British Steel. A very cool looking album cover. I do like it. My favorite song over here would have to be probably. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a favorite song off his album. I like most of them. All the songs on the album are good. I really don't have, you know. Alright, next we have Killing Machine, which was named